7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
There we are. Huh? That's how we do that. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dean, and this is the program for today, and we've got a wonderful guest contingent. Not really guests, they're all hosts. Some way, shape, or form. Lochlin Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM at Edmonton. That's him on his phone. Say hi, Lock, at Lock Cross on Twitter. James DeFiore from blackballmedia.ca or Blackball the Podcast, which you can find anywhere you get your fine podcasts. Say hi to James, everybody. Hi, Jamesy. And maybe the world's greatest Spitfire on a scooter, a woman who needs no introduction, who gets people to trend just from taking pictures of them. She is Canada's #1 shit-disturbing influencer. Please welcome Miss Caryma S'ad, ladies and gentlemen. Caryma S'ad at Caryma Rules on Twitter. How are you, dear? How are you? Nice to see you. You know, you look okay. You know what you look? You look like, you look comfy today. Looks like it's an indoor day, like a day to kind of recharge the batteries after the weekend they had. Is that right? Is this just it's a Caryma day? Is this a Caryma day?
I mean, it's Monday, so I'm just trying to keep it as, as comfortable as possible.
I like your shirt.
Aesthetic?
I like your shirt because of all the shit that you go through. I think it's like you're like, bring it, And
I got my own back, that's right.
And then Lachlan's like a puzzle, right?
Yeah,
puzzles.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. I mean, the whole weekend was this steady stream, and it was funny because I try to take weekends off. You're never really off, right? If you do what we do for content, which is live content. I try to take the weekends off. I recharge. Caryma and I, you and I talk about this often, how I take time away from the machine just to go and dip my toes in real life and stuff like that. You never do that. You never do that. You get your camera and you get your scooter and you follow idiots around, and every single weekend you set the tone for news in the city. Case in point, Rudy's Burgers burned down over the weekend. Rudy Burger, it's called. And Caryma was a big fan of Rudy Burger. I see Rudy Burger burning an hour before news crews even get there. Caryma's like standing in front of Rudy Burger on her scooter going, oh yeah, Rudy Burger's burning down downtown Toronto. Everyone's like, what the fuck? And an hour later, all the news people show up.
It wasn't that much of a distance, but it was right place, right time, which I think is, that's the name of the game here. But there's always stuff happening in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's be serious, though. Like you say, the right place, right time. But before we get to these videos and how you set the world up this weekend, when you were out there, are you like looking, scouring the internet for Facebook hookups? We're going to be at the park. Show up, bring your flags and your suitcases and your purple shirts. Is that how you find out where these people are, or do they send you information at this point? Because again, you literally set the tone for news in the city every weekend. They
do send me information, but actually, the weekly rallies are very predictable because it's same place, same time every week, and it's only when there are events that deviate from that maybe, so this particular Saturday, I was not at Queen's Park. I went to Yonge Dundas Square. That's where I think the main action was happening. But yeah, it's, always scouring, right? A lot of the organizing happens in online spaces. So I'm able to monitor that, whether it's under my name or people just feeding me sort of details. Because yeah, I think that it's they like being covered, even though it's not friendly coverage. Which is
they just want the attention. That's worth highlighting.
Yeah. But what you're saying is that people in the movement, even though they hate you when you show up, tell you where they're going to be. Is that correct? Because they want the coverage. Is that right?
It's narcissism. It's the definition, the sole definition of narcissism. If you've met a true narcissist, I'm just borderline. So is Dean. If you met a true narcissist, and you can't understand why they're doing what they're doing, just go back to the beginning. They don't care what kind of attention they're getting as long as you're paying attention to them. If you're trying to, in your mind, rationalize what it is that they're doing and give it some sort of meaning or there's got to be a reason why he pulled his cock out in the middle of a meeting with women there.
I'm sorry.
You have to sit back and go, oh, he just wants attention. It doesn't matter if it's negative attention. It's something went wrong in their childhood, like with their upbringing, and they're not right. And that's what Chris Sky is. He's all he is a narcissist. He came on this podcast like 2 or 3 times, knowing full well we thought he was 17 a fucking idiot, right? Like,
but here's the thing: is that like I'm watching all this stuff unfold this weekend, and I put up a couple articles about it. And one of them is like, listen, this is just pure comedy to me now. Like it literally is. There are some pieces to it which can be dangerous, but Caryma, are you not laughing at this half the time you're recording it? Like, I know it appears dangerous and all that stuff, and we'll get to some of the videos that I'm talking about, but like, are you not just to the point where you're like, these guys are just fucking losers? I mean, they're harmless losers who just want to be seen. Like, they've never been seen, so they go out and they create a scene because they want to be seen.
Think that's
like, are you at the humorous part of this yet?
I think that's dangerous to call them harmless.
Most of them are
on that one, and my coverage, I think, has always had a little bit of a humorous slant because that's just how I see it. And there is an absurdity that's inherent to this. But the reason that I go and the reason that I don't, or this is how I try to navigate the ethical sort of quagmire that presents itself, because they do want attention. And, I think that uncritical attention would actually feed and amplify what it is that's happening here. So when I go, yes, I'm looking to find the humor in it, but there are also really disturbing trends that I try to capture. And so I try to balance the commentary and kind of emphasize some of these more serious things. But to your point, Dean, there is a lot of funny stuff that lends itself to comedy. We would be remiss to just laugh and ridicule. But I think that this movement is at a stage where it can be knocked down a few pegs through sort of collective mocking. So that's.
I don't know if that works, though. Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, you can. Just a second, though. I just want to point out that Caryma, like a hard-hitting urban journalist, is like, yeah, we can mock it.
I agree because that's generally my stance. So we had a text the other day from somebody that said, I've got a friend, his name is Dave, and he is going to file a human rights complaint against Denny's because when the new rules kicked in Alberta and you have to show proof of vaccination, which Kenny is desperately trying not to call a vaccine passport, he tried to go to Denny's for breakfast that morning and they wouldn't let him in. And Brad told me that this guy, Dave, works with him, whatever, was going to file a human rights complaint because he couldn't get in and have his moons over my hammy. And I said, I need this fucking idiot's phone number. I spent 6 minutes on the phone with him because it was during Eagles Hotel California, trying to get him to see the humor in him filing a human rights complaint when he doesn't even know how to even do that against Denny's. Nothing. Crickets. I kept going back to, can you not see the humor in you filing a human rights complaint in Canada because they won't let you in for a plate of fucking eggs in Denny's? 6 minutes.
And it's funny too because my son and I were talking. He works at a restaurant. He came home. He's like, "Yeah, I made a bunch of money in tips, and I got to check for vaccination identification at the door because he was a host that one day." And I'm like, "How'd it go?" He's like, "It's awesome, no big deal." Like, why not? He's like, "Dad, it's like showing ID, right? When you go into a restaurant, like, how many of those fucking losers?" This is what he said to me. He's 15. goes, how many of those fucking losers have to show their ID when they go into places to buy beer or get a drink? And I'm like, all of them. And he's like, so what's the difference? I said, nothing. And he's like, so why are they arguing and screaming and running around like fucking lunatics? I'm like, because they're crazy. And he's like, gotcha. Like, that was literally the extent of the conversation. And he's 15, which let me roll back to what Caryma did on the weekend. So Caryma, you went to Young Dundas Square because Chris is holding a rally there, but as I understand it, he was under conditions and wasn't allowed to be doing this shit, correct?
So I don't know precisely what his conditions are. I know that one of the organizers, he wasn't allowed to be within 50 meters of. So that presented, I think, some logistical issues that they kind of navigated / ignored. And then at the start of his speech, they were like, everyone needs to move 100 feet back because, Chris isn't allowed to do this. But then, like, no one really moved. And then they went ahead with it. So awkward for them because they've acknowledged that there were some conditions and then tried to kind of get compliance, and then it just fell by the wayside. So, yeah, I don't know. Hamilton Crown's office might want to review my Twitter.
Have a word?
I was just wondering if, because I haven't seen any of these protests except for your footage, but at these like free speech rallies or whatever they are there counter protests ever?
I've occasionally seen counter protesters. I would say that on Hospital Row is where that was most obvious. And there were a few people, maybe a dozen or so people, who had kind of counter signs and were doing that.
The reason why I ask is because, to Lachlan's point, in those situations, it does sort of feel like, like that footage that I think you're about to show, Dean, like, and footage like that, that could go bad really quickly. Like, as soon as it's like dominoes, the mob just ends up like one collective, one entity, and it just starts smashing and punching. And I've seen it at both. Like, if there's a protest like by Antifa and the Proud Boys come, or if there's a protest by the Proud Boys and Antifa comes or whatever, it's always the counter protesting group that kind of lights the fire, even if they're on the right side. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just afraid that might happen in one of the future rallies. What about
the guy from his car at the light going, "Go home, you fucking tools"?
I kind of feel for. I identify with that guy more than I identify with anybody else in that scenario.
Because I haven't done
except
that.
for the car part.
Yeah.
I think you're right, James. And so I've not really. And when there were counter protesters, they were sort of sequestered to the side, and police. Actually, I only saw police scolding them, which seemed a little bit off because they, to my view, were not doing anything wrong. But I wasn't monitoring the whole time.
I think you're going to start to see more of it because people are getting pissed off at the freedom fighters. We're seeing it here in Edmonton.
So funny.
I think it's hilarious. You call them freedom fighters too, right? Like,
they're not the X-Men or something.
Yeah, like everyone. I mean, it's this small group that's really, really loud. That's angry for whatever reason, and they're the ones that are that are filling the hospitals. They're the reasons why we might be shut down again. And that's becoming more and more apparent. And people, like, I've been watching videos of people fighting back on planes and, people in masks and shopping, in stores, telling the unmasked guy to get the fuck out of there. Right. Yeah. You're going to start to see a lot more of the counter stuff because people are fed up.
Yeah.
Right. And this whole time, they've been given free reign. So when there is counter, they're really not going to, I think, be used to that pushback. And I could see it escalating pretty rapidly.
Yeah. And it's, part of it too is like, fair-minded people like us that know what the right thing is. Like 80% of Canadians are like, yeah, vaccination, no big deal. We got the jab, big fucking stuff. Who cares? We're good now. Those aren't the same people that go, yeah, you know what I'd really like to do on a Saturday afternoon is go and stand in front of the rest of these rejects and scream back at them. Like, we're not wired like that. We're wired like to get on with life and get on with the order of business. And, because that's how you win. You win by just moving on. You don't win by sitting in it and going, let's fight each other over something that this will not matter in 24 months. It won't. It just won't. So, like, pouring energy and time and negativity into it doesn't matter. But these people love to do it. Case in point, this is at the Eaton Center this weekend, and we've got a series of clips. We'll start with what I believe is Chris Sky, and you recorded this saying that getting vaccinated is the same as selling your children to the devil. Is that correct? That I'm pretty sure that's what we got here. Yeah.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they doing? The vast majority of you will probably comply. And that's the equivalent of selling your children's soul to the devil. And I'm telling you right now, if you Canadians let it slide that far, after everything I've done, everything I've risked, and everything I keep trying to do, I'm out of here. I'm not going to tell anyone where I'm going. I'm just going to disappear one day, and you're going to wake up and be like, wow, we're fucked.
I will help you pack. Just give me a call. I don't help my closest friends move. I will go wherever you need to. I'll bring boxes.
Yeah.
You know
I'll bring
what?
tape.
I will fucking pay for the U-Haul. Like,
I'll chip
go
in.
wherever you need to go. Let's.
Yeah.
I'll put aside a weekend.
Well, and you say that, but this is fucking funny to me. Like, did you hear what he just said? He basically said getting the jab is like a pact with Satan for your child's life. And then if you get it, if you do anything outside of what I've already told you to do, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. Okay.
2 weeks ago, his narrative was everyone's welcome, vaxxed and unvaxxed, masked and unmasked. We were inclusive, but like that lasted for 2 minutes.
He kind of came off, and Caryma, I know you're going to get mad at me when I say this, but he kind of like when he was talking reminded me of Monday Night Raw, you know, like he's like a ravishing Rick Rude throwback.
This is totally wrestling. That's why I'm interested in this. This is totally wrestling.
It is.
He has merch.
You know what? That's beautiful self-awareness. Can we highlight that?
Out of here.
Thank you, Caryma. That is fantastic self-awareness. Thank you. We do not have enough of that in the world that we live in. If the other side was that self-aware, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
We'd be happy. Oh my God, that is such a great analogy too. It's WWE. It is. and Kareema's like a lifelong fan of that garbage.
Brother? Didn't he like brother? Wasn't it just like that when he started talking? I thought it was. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He's not done there, Chris. In case you were wondering who started the fracas at the Eaton Center, of which we will get to, and this has caused a major problem for people because this caused some injuries on the way in, and people got arrested, including the old guy. We'll get to the video; it's fucking awesome. But this is Chris following up that statement with more garbage.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What did they do when we went into the Eaton Center? Where's your QR code? I sat down and I ate, and they sat there and they're like on their phone. Oh my God, guys, there's somebody that's not doing what we say. What do we do? And then the cops got back to them and said, chill the hell out, man. They're eating. And you see the security guard standing there like, oh my God, am I going to get fired? Am I going to get fired because somebody got by me and they're eating food without a QR code? And they're literally shitting their pants. Shitting their pants. And cops didn't come. Why? Because if cops came, they would have had to deal with me.
I love that. I love the importance he puts on himself every time he does it. It's like fucking clockwork. It's what he's been telling people. He's the only guy that can fix it. It's all the shit you hear from people that truly want to be dictators but don't have the power to do it or the brains to do it. And here's the funny part to me is that's him telling everybody to go into the fucking Eaton Center and cause a problem, which eventually caused the biggest ruckus. This is Caryma's video, which went viral. This is the actual entrance or attempted entrance into the Eaton Center. And I want you to take special note of the old fuck. And I say old fuck because he's like he's an old anti-vaxxer fuck. The old guy that gets knocked down and screams elder abuse and then just starts punching back. Like it is one of the fucking greatest.
I'm glad you cleared that up, Dean. I called him an old fuck because he is an old fuck who's an anti-vaxxer.
He is. He's a total old fuck. Watch this. This is great.
Hey!
story. I had to stop it because I started dying laughing when the cop threw the old guy that was throwing punches. He just tossed him out of the thing and he hit the ground. And I know I shouldn't be laughing, but there's literally no
It's
other
funny,
response. Like literally, the old guy gets knocked over and he screams elder abuse. A couple of other meth heads are getting their heads squeezed between like mall security and officers' heads going, help me. They're trying to get it. And then the old guy starts punching again as soon as he gets up, like he's punching police officers. And then one cop comes in. He's like, okay, fuck this. And he grabs him and he literally throws him over his shoulder into the thing. And all the people start freaking out. But literally, that is cause and effect, Caryma. Like, I have a really hard time conjuring up any empathy for anybody who got injured in that thing. And that old cat got arrested. And the great part was that local newspapers, I believe, said he was 29.
Oh, I thought it wasn't actually a 29-year-old who got arrested and not the old guy.
Oh no, they said it was him and he was 29. That's how much mainstream media nailed that thing.
What they were trying to get into Tim's?
No, they're trying to get into the.
It's roll up the rim.
I was going to say food court. I said food court. No, no one
Ultimately,
cares about my
I think
tweets.
The goal was food court. Yeah.
Who cares?
What's that, Caryma?
The goal was to get into the food court, but yeah,
And that was
For the Chinese food?
I was totally kidding when I tweeted something like, "This walk isn't going to Manchu itself," and like something like that, and all of a sudden, I find out like the second that they literally were trying to go to the food court.
That's really good. That's
is that,
really
is
good.
that was that the end goal? Was
tweeted it? No,
it was to go eat in the food.
Sometimes
court.
we miss your point, right? Like I'm glad. I tend to over-explain stuff for a reason.
I try to do the economy of words, but it just doesn't work for me on Twitter.
Maybe you're too smart for people. Maybe your tweets are too good. That might be part of it.
Well,
but that was the goal, eh, Caryma? It was like, let's guys.
Retweet it
They
right
won it
now.
right. I don't want to. It's not a monolithic group, but there are groups that have gone to Scarborough Town Center, to Oshawa, literally just to go eat in the food court, like without showing any identification. But it's funny because when Chris is talking about the QR code, like that doesn't exist yet. And that makes me wonder if his story is even true, if he even went into the Eden Center.
No, he didn't.
Because he talks also, like later on, yesterday he did a rally, and he talked about a photo circulating of him in the Eden Center. And I've not seen that, and I'm pretty on top of the coverage.
It might have been a pony.
He's lying.
It was you know what he meant to say? There's a picture of him riding a pony going around.
I can't even do the horse.
And no one can tell the difference between him and the pony. It's
But that's like some Dawn of the Dead. Like that's not normal. This is not normal.
Does Chris Sky have a movie playing there? No, that's Farlap. That's Farlap. No Farlap fans? No?
It's a little deep.
I get it. But what's like here's a question I have for you. And I'm not, you wouldn't even watch the rest of the fucking video of Chris. I've got one more video of him and it has to do with you, but I want to ask you a question because you ask this question a lot when you post these videos. Is like, police are doing nothing. Cops are doing nothing. So where were the cops when Chris told his minion of shit rats to head into the Eaton Center to go grab themselves some Manchu walk? What?
Yeah, there were some police that were stationed at the doors, kind of with bicycles forming a barricade. And I think that they kind of moseyed over from where they were standing at the square, but really hands off, which, I'm not one to call for heavy-handed police enforcement. I don't think that that's a desirable outcome. But especially in Toronto, where we see the discrepancy between how encampments were treated and, there was this paramilitary force. And this rally was not a surprise. If I was able to know that there was a rally happening and I'm not counterintelligence, like it's not rocket science to know that this is taking place, likely without permits. The police were thanked by Chris Sky at the outset of his speech. Toronto, Niagara, and Ottawa police. No one has issued a statement rejecting this. They ought to be aware at this point. So the narrative that Chris is pushing is that the cops are on side, that they have their support, that police aren't going to ticket or enforce action against anti-vaxxers. And that's really
is there not
dangerous.
some truth to that though? Like even a monicum, Caryma, based on the Peel police chief's statement that they weren't going to go to these calls about anti-vaxxers not being let into restaurants and stuff?
Yeah, I don't think he's wrong that cops aren't going to help people who are like, so I think that that's going to fall to frontline workers, which is a problem on its own. And I think it's also true that some percentage, I don't know how large of a percentage, but there are police officers who identify with the anti-vaxxer movement more than they do, with everyone else. So there's some truth to that, but the problem is it creates, I think, a really unsafe situation where we can't really. I mean, mind you, there are communities who never have been able to rely on police to be of assistance. So what I think we're seeing is that reality now obvious to a wider spectrum of people.
You know, it's funny because I had a conversation with a friend of mine that works for TPS, and I asked him this question. I'm like, listen, I watch a lot of this stuff. We have people that go out, yourself included, Caryma, that capture this stuff, and they all have the same sentiment. So you guys don't do jack shit. And he says, we're not supposed to. I go, what do you mean? And he's like, our only goal is to keep them away from you. That's it. Like, they'll let them say and do whatever they want, but the only goal is to keep them in a bottle, like to keep them in a silo, and that's it. Like he said, we can't literally do anything because the second we do something, it's front page news and it's defund the police, and everybody's trying to keep the temperature down. And so that's that line of thinking. The line of thinking is if we just let these people operate in a parade, let them walk down Yonge Street and try to keep them away from businesses, try to just kind of keep them in certain areas penned in, this whole thing is going to go away by Christmas because, as you know well, and I do too, is that the only thing that stops these guys is bad weather, right? Like the only way that
there's a core group of people, and I don't know if they are going to continue this year, but there were they are really persistent, even in crappy cold weather. And I feel like that PR approach might be counterproductive because certainly on my feed, there's a lot of call to defund the police because what are they even doing when we need them at this juncture versus other sort of police activities that the public isn't on board with and obviously cost a lot of money. Like I'm seeing in the comments, $2 million for the encampment evictions. Meanwhile, every single Saturday is chaos in Toronto.
Isn't that just the decision by police, and I think at least one mayor's office, consistent with how they handled protests last year? Because I remember last year in the summertime, people were really upset that we were given social distancing orders and you can't hang out in your backyard with more than 8 people. And then the Black Lives Matter protests didn't follow those, but the cops let the protest happen. Isn't that sort of just them being consistent? Or is it just that because we're seeing this issue and we agree that vaccines are safe. So we obviously disagree with the people protesting right now, but the cops are kind of behaving the same. Isn't that good?
I mean, I don't know that it's consistent. I think that for other protests, what I've seen are really designated protest areas. And if the protesters veer outside of that, there's repercussions. And that's not an approach that we've seen here. My observation, and I wasn't out a whole lot during the Black Lives Matter protest, but I did see at least attempts at social distancing. There were masks. I went to a few housing protests where masks were provided. People were told, stay as far apart as you can. Here's some hand sanitizer. And maybe that's all theater as well and not actually sort of useful. But we know that outdoor transmission is pretty negligible anyway, right? But I think the difference here is that these protests are actively encouraging people to defy public health orders, and in the manner that they're protesting, they themselves are vectors, in a dangerous way. So I think that that's the distinction. I hear what you're saying, but for me, this has just laid bare that there actually are clear double standards, and the fact that police had the sense not to try and shut down the BLM protests at a time of sort of global uprising.
Fever pitch, yeah.
Like that's just common sense to me. But that's compared to 18 months of weekly protests.
Yeah, and weekly protests that aren't meant to bring people together too, right? Like they're meant to bring that one group together to fight against everybody else. And it's not about awareness. Like these things aren't about awareness. They're just about expressing anger and preventing people from driving across the street or getting to work. And that's why they run up and down Yonge Street like assholes, because they want to be impediments. Like the goal is let's act like an impediment so people can take notice of us, right? And we all, it's been 2 years. I've seen it. It's fucking funny. Like and it sometimes isn't, to the point where in this next clip, and it wasn't that it bothered me for Caryma, but this was someone filming Chris on behalf of Caryma. You weren't here for this, right? This was someone else filming you. And I'm going to share the exchange that she had with Chris after, because that's the gold. That's the good stuff. But this is who you're dealing with. Here.
We need a plan. I have a plan. Yes, we need a plan to get around to organize, okay?
Oh, we got Caryma over here.
Thank you, Chris.
Say hi to Caryma for me. I know she masturbates to these videos.
Oh!
Hi, Caryma.
Nice guy, eh? So then she puts the video out, and Chris Guy replies to it. It's funny because it's true. She replies, it's funny because he doesn't understand he's the butt of the joke. And then he says, sure, because the entire world doesn't know you wish I would fuck your brains out. Post a few dozen more videos and pay to have some more cartoons drawn so you can pretend to be a cartoonist. Curious how large your Chris Guy shrine is. And then Caryma ends the conversation with, too much brain, not enough dick.
What? Well done.
I have judges on my Twitter feed, and I'm so sorry to them.
You're a boss lady. I tweeted that after. I'm fucking crying laughing here. You got to own that stuff. I mean, that's him. That is exactly who he is. Like, I mean, he is the center of his own universe, and any way he can bring everything back to him. And it was funny because I talked to him a couple weeks ago on the phone, and he told me these things are he's just fleecing people. That's all I'm doing. I'm just selling shit, going to these things, trying to take advantage of the heat, trying to fucking make some dough, trying to make some dosh. I'll be out of Dodge before they know it. And then there's the other rumor that and I'm trying to figure this out. We've called a few Shoppers Drug Marts in Nova Scotia, but there's a pretty heavy rumor out there that this dude's actually fully vaccinated too, which makes me laugh. And I would have no fucking qualms putting that on the air and telling
Well,
people.
no wonder he got into the food court then.
It's possible, but he also got booted out of Montreal from the hotel, supposedly in an altercation with staff about staying there, and that's his kind of usual spot. So I don't know. It's I wouldn't put it past him, but it's also I don't know, and kind of ironic that he might be the subject of misinformation, given that that's his jam. So I'm not like too concerned about it either way.
Every time,
get a load of his. Sorry, go ahead.
Every time he comes up when I'm talking, about him with friends or family or whatever, the same thing always comes. Why does he continue to have an audience? Like what's going on? Like that's the thing that baffles me. It just seems so blatantly obvious that he's full of shit, and he is, but he's making money. We have trouble selling T-shirts with the name of our radio show on it.
Yeah, but it's underneath the word glory hole.
Fucking $20 T-shirts to pay for our
He's selling,
problem.
dude. He sells it for $60 a T-shirt, like one of those.
60 for two, and $30
60
for
for
one.
two.
Yeah.
What about with an autograph though? I heard it was like $100 with an autograph. Like
it's always difficult to put yourself in the shoes of the, and I normally don't mock these people, but the kind of dumbest demographic out there, the foam finger crowd. Right?
I'm not asking for smart people to buy our shit.
No, I'm not talking about your T-shirts. I'm talking you were like, why are people attracted to him or to his whatever? Why are people following him around? And I think that it's really hard to identify with the dumb demographic. Like it's the foam finger,
like the 95.7 listener. Yeah,
he has a lot of contempt for his fans, though. and it comes across like loud and clear when he speaks to them about them. So it's sad because they adore him, and it's
It's
sad.
not sad. It's awesome. This is an abusive relationship with a guy with the IQ of a fucking tack hammer.
I was just
like,
going to
it's
say
the
battered
best.
anti-vaxxer syndrome.
Yeah. That's exactly. It's like, what do they call that? Stockholm syndrome. All these people, and the only reason why they show up and they give him money and they wear shirts that say Chris Sky for Prime Minister. I'm sorry, that's the best.
No,
the only reason why they do is because
Woodbridge syndrome is what this one.
Yeah, with Vaughn syndrome. The only reason why they do it is because they're not vaccinated, right? And they get some jam from it, and so they're like, just got to get behind the shadow here, and that just means you're more pathetic than he is. Like, and it really, really does. Like, if you live in the shadow of a guy that has literally the IQ of a stuffed animal, and wears muscle shirts to protests and pajamas to protests and sells books that look like they were written by 12th grade, not even 5th grader. Caryma, you've had the book, right? Like, it's 40 pages of just garbage, and sells shitty T-shirts.
Like, when you read it, you can't help but read it in his voice. Like, it was horrible. Because it's like
that's actually a sign of a good writer. It really is.
Yeah, but not when it's that voice and he's that dumb.
Right,
but smart enough to take advantage of all these people, and he knows it too. Like, when I talk to him, he's like, "Yeah, fuck, I get all their stuff. Like, they just give me their stuff. It's incredible." I'm like,
"Why haven't you recorded any of these phone calls?"
I don't know. It's funny, but you know, the best part of this guy is his business manager, Zishan Ahmed. That's his business manager. Here's a video of him arriving with his crew of security detail, who also act as the merchandise people. This is the best.
I don't even know where to go. Like, I'm pretty sure I bought a leather coat from one of those guys, though, a few years ago. I bought
Jordans from him at a flea market in Buffalo. I'm pretty sure.
It was out of the back of a truck in front of a 7-Eleven, but it's still a good fit.
Look at him. That's his business manager. Let's
I'm
go.
all for like Muslim representation, but this is not what we need. This is not what we need. This is not it.
I don't care about the religion. I just love the dart hanging out of his mouth and him going, "Let's go sell some fucking shirts."
He's actually great to watch while Chris speaks because he's like an active listener and he's like applauding and like laughing at the jokes, and you know.
That's because he's making money.
Like the crowd guy at the beginning of a talk show.
Yeah. The warm-up guy. He's the warm-up guy.
He's the hype guy.
He's Chris's hype. This is Chris Guy's hype guy, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Flavor Flav. This is Chris Guy's hype guy. Look at him, and his business manager.
Yeah, boy.
I don't know if anyone remembers this.
Does he look a little like The Weeknd?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
They bonded
he looks like DJ Khaled's like.
They bonded over what?
Brother.
They bonded over Z destroying his phone on Terry Fox's statue because he was, in Chris's mind, it was a metaphor for passing the torch from Terry to Chris.
Oh my God!
Destroying shit in statues is always a metaphor.
Honestly, someone just needs to shoot him.
Breaking a champagne bottle over a ship.
No,
it's the same thing.
Someone doesn't. This is awesome.
No, he's a virus.
Do you know how? No, he's not. He is
he's
entertainment. No, he's not. You can't look at him like a virus. You got to look at him like a show. You got to look at it like Fear Factor, or like when you see these people that are just so fucking stupid. You're like, this is incredible. My 600-pound life. You don't think they're putting those people on television because they're witty, do you? No, they're putting them on television to go, hey, look at this fuck job. That's exactly what this is to me. This is just, or like My Strange Addiction, same thing. The people that eat their fart cushions and stuff off the couch and can't stop drinking their own urine. It is the exact same category of entertainment to me. It's like, well, you guys got to see this.
It's fun and games until because if we go like the video that at the doors, there's this one guy in a gray shirt who I've been following at different rallies, and his behavior has escalated significantly. Like in May of
that's why I said I don't think we should be joking about or commenting about these things being not like not dangerous. I think we're going to get to a point where they are. And Caryma, all kidding aside, I mean, I know you take security, and I know you're smart and cautious about, but if they view you as somebody that's obviously from the other side, I don't think anything's going to stop them from taking a swing or doing something violent towards you. I mean, you've already encountered it.
Yeah, when I went in the pink gorilla suit, which, to be fair, I was in a pink gorilla suit. But yeah, that asshole ripped my mask. He attacked me from behind because, I mimed at him and he didn't like what I was miming. And then we ended the interaction. And then he came for me again. And then he took my cameraman's phone and tossed it in a garbage can on. So I was like scooting around trying to get security's attention, and like the cops weren't helpful. And they're like, "Oh, that's too bad. You should call 311." I'm like, "The phone's in the garbage. You're in a uniform. I need your help right now." And then kind of shamed them into assisting me. But you're not wrong, Lochlin. And like, yeah, the guy that I was referring to, his behavior escalated in the sense that like 2-3 months ago, he was all hold me back, but wasn't actually moving forward. So it was like a show. And now he's legitimately taking like punches at cops. So
this guy?
Not this guy.
the other guy.
Josh.
Yeah, the other guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll get here. It is. This is
that guy looks like he's fairly reasonable, right?
No, this is the guy that attacked Caryma. What were you going to say?
I was going to say something violent, so it's good that I didn't.
You should have led with it. You'll be able to see the guy that Caryma's talking about. His name's he's right there in the gray shirt. You can kind of see him back to us right there. You see that gray shirt between the guy in the red and the gray? That guy right there. He's like super methed out. I don't know what kind of fucking street drugs he hooped before he got to this thing, but a lot of them. And he's walking around with a coconut, screaming all kinds of crazy shit. Like, he had crazy eyes. He had the Jimmy eyes in this video.
I have footage of him walking around like that on the street.
Walking around like what?
Like,
what does that mean?
His arm out.
The Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there he is getting his head snapped in half by about 5 cops. So that's pretty funny, right?
Do you have a taser? You can buy taser like online. You should get one.
I stole a taser once from my motel office in South Carolina.
That's great, James.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know.
Thank you.
Does it still work?
No, I had to. My friends made me ditch it off a cliff in Pennsylvania because they didn't want to get caught bringing it over the border. It was 1996, though. I was like, fucking cushion. We'll be fine.
Oh, that's back when tasers were like the size of an old school cell phone.
It was like with the thing in the middle. And we actually tasered a guy in Myrtle Beach with it. So, because he stole my friend.
Just for fun. Yeah. Did he shit himself?
For fun.
I heard that can happen.
No, but he made the weirdest scream. It wasn't like, oh, he was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, it hurts.
I'm like that. Yeah, it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, I'm with Caryma. You need a taser, maybe some bear mace. Bear mace is great because it clears out, like, it's good for a bear, so it's good for at least 8 people, right? Like,
well, the only problem with bear mace is that
wind. What if there's wind?
Well, you have to hit the bear in the nose too.
Just make sure you're upwind. Make sure you're upwind, or is it downwind you want to be? You want to be downwind. You want the wind to go.
Yeah, 50% chance. I don't know.
No, taser is way more. I think.
Yeah, you need the ones that shoot. You can't be too close. The ones that shoot.
They have. I was going to buy them for my daughters. I saw them online. They're like a baton, and they don't look like a taser. And they don't give like a full taser jolt, but they give you enough to get somebody's attention. And if you hit skin, it's even worse, right?
Cattle prod.
Yeah, like it's
they got mini cattle prods now. I know what to get her for Christmas.
There you go. You might get 3.
One for each.
One for each friend.
One from each host.
Yeah, Caryma S'ad, ladies and gentlemen. Follow her on Twitter at Caryma Rules. She's responsible for bringing attention to all this stuff. It sets the tone every weekend.
Let's get
for news
puzzles
here in the city of Toronto
this week.
Yeah,
puzzles.
We'll send you a couple of those, like 2,000 pieces.
Caryma.
Oh, and Caryma, can we name Chris Guy the virus and turn him into a wrestler? Because I think that would be apropos.
Awesome. Thanks, Caryma.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Talk to you soon. Caryma S'ad, ladies and gentlemen. One of the
She's
greatest
awesome.
people I know. Isn't she incredible?
Yeah,
dealt with a lot this weekend.
She's like great, like a literal.
I would like to broach the topic that was brought up by James on the weekend in the form of an email. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, Jesus.
I'm reading this on air.
Yeah.
That's totally fine because I have the greatest
Dean,
response.
read it.
I haven't thought of it yet, but I'll think of something.
Well, so I
think you guys misinterpreted my tone, and I think it's my fault. But go ahead.
No, it's funny. That's why I want to read it. Like we didn't take offense to it.
No.
It's just humorous because you're you, right?
We always
so
read
over the
stuff
weekend
in a James tone.
Yeah, always. But over the weekend, I was like, you know what? I was going through an old bunch of podcasts, and I was listening to one with Nate. You know our boy Nate? Mm-hmm. Nate Erskine Smith. Nate is a politician. And then I started going through, I got some politician music here, of course, so we can have this discussion. It's important. And then I started thinking about all the other politicians we've interviewed and all the politicians we've asked to come on and didn't come on and then wanted to come on at certain times. And I'm like, let's do this math in my head. Every politician we've had that's come on has never, ever answered one of our questions, Nate included, directly. Has never, ever, no, I'm serious, has always kind of taken a question and turned it towards something party related, something positive for himself, something positive for themselves. And always, if there's something in it for them, they'll come on. But if we just want to talk about a couple of things, they won't. Right? That's just how politicians are. And so it hit me this way. I'm like, we should never, ever, ever interview any of these dicks again. Ever. And
was that
here's
before?
why.
Did you come up with that before or after the email from James? Because that would be weird if you came up
before. Because
Wow.
I tweeted it out.
My
I
email was the
tweeted it out.
response to that.
And I said, I'm not fucking talking to politicians anymore at all. And I'm sure there are nice politicians. I've met one or two. But generally speaking, politicians are the most selfish cocksuckers on the face of the earth. And they never tell the truth. And after going through this last pandemic, it dawned on me, we don't need to have these people on anymore because they never do anything or say anything important. All they do is service themselves or the people that they work for / with or their agenda. So why the fuck would I waste our good time having these people on to kiss their balls? Because the goal is, if you lick, and you know this, Locke, as an interviewer, if you lick the balls of the guest enough, the guest will come back. I have no desire to lick political balls anymore. None. Zero. Because I don't like them, don't respect them, don't trust them.
Because you made it sound like I lick all the guests or all the guests' balls.
Testicles, yeah.
I'm not a big testicle licker.
I'm more of a flutterer, you know?
If asked, I'll do a little fluffing, but I'm not going to get a tongue down there. I'm adverse to that. A lot of what you're saying right now, Dean, I like.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah, and you know what? James is against this. Now, why? Now, hold on. Can I just say something? If we stop having anybody with any political affiliations on,
right? Yep.
And that's a rule of the podcast moving forward. No more fucking politicians. We can still talk about politics though. Like that
yes.
is, I get the sense that James is kind of thinking that we are going to become an apolitical podcast. I don't think that's what I got from.
I did not think that.
Okay.
Let me read his email. Hi guys.
It's a good idea.
Can I preamble it?
Hi guys. Sure.
Whenever I had, so this is my thought process. Fuck. It's a stupid fucking idea that Dean had. How do I say it without coming off like I think it's a silly idea? Okay, and then I'm trying not to sound like I think it's a silly idea, and then you guys pick up like, what the fuck? That was so awkward and funny. Like, and you're spotting me trying not to come off like it was a bad idea. So it is me, but it's sort of me with a veneer of like, it's okay, you know, like.
Well, it was obvious to both of us the amount of
entertainment
time and energy that you put into crafting that so that we wouldn't think that you were being a dick or something. Like,
I'm sorry,
I
conversational.
Feel it coming out of the email. You just sitting there at the keyboard going, how do I present this in such a way?
I erased so many profanity.
Yeah.
So much profanity.
Here's the email. The title is, it's to Dean and Lochlin from James D. Fiore. Title, Politicians and Platforms. Hi, guys. So I've been mulling over Dean's decision to ban politicians, and while I still think it's overkill, I also know it's your baby and ultimately your call. Maybe it's the best call ever. I like how he led with that. It's like trying to butter me up. Yep. A sizable chunk of my professional life, though, revolves around politics in other way or another. Plus, our show is known for a few key things, and biggest three are no doubt COVID, politics, and humor. Would you consider getting all three of us on a call talking about it so we can be on the same page? Yes, I am going to try to make really awesome points, but I think it would be productive either way. I'm around whenever, boys. Cheers. This is from James. Lochlin replies, ha, ha, ha. Why don't we do this on the pod Monday? I reply, that's fucking hilarious, James. Convince me Monday. And he's like, works for me. So that's how work gets done around here. That's how problems get resolved around here.
I have an idea.
So, James, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do a week-long Twitter poll on the Dean Blundell show Twitter account and just simply ask, should this podcast ever have politicians on it again? Yes or no? And see what people think. Like,
we can do that.
Because I think we have had. One thing I am gonna disagree with Dean on is I think that we've had a couple of politicians that I've seen value from, even if it was like weirdness, right? Like I am still practicing the semen retention breathing into my nuts.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's just a life thing that I'll continue for the rest of until I die. Right?
You should, yeah.
And I would not have gotten out without having that PPC candidate on the podcast.
See, now I don't classify him as a politician. That's the difference. I classify him as entertainment. He's entertainment.
Because I voted for him in St. Albert.
So, James,
I had to write his name.
Convince
now,
us. Convince us.
There's a couple of things.
Twitter poll.
Okay. Twitter. I'm putting it up right now.
There's a couple things. I think that saying I'm not going to interview anybody that has this occupation is just maybe a mistake because you never know who could jump into the boat. But also, I think it speaks to something that maybe we just have to improve on. Me specifically, then, if all the interviews that you've seen with politicians turned out to be, were them just meandering for and taking up a bunch of time so that they don't really have to answer, then that's really on us. At that point, we should be calling them out and saying to them, look, we don't really care much for spin here or for pivots and for your meandering thoughts. So we asked you a question. We were hoping that you can get an answer and then become known as a place. Listen, if you want to go to the Dean Blundell show, that's the lion's den for politicians. So just make sure you're prepped. I'd rather it be that than just be like, we're not going to interview any politicians ever again. Yeah. And I didn't
do it in that voice. I didn't do it in that.
But I received it in voice quite like
that. Poll is up, just so you know. So far, not good. Should we interview politicians ever again? Did I load the answers? Maybe. Yes. 0. Fuck no. 100%.
Well, anyways, I don't think a poll is the right way because, I'm not as likable as you are, Dean, and so people are going to side with you.
I love the self-awareness on the show today.
It's really good.
From Caryma and now from James. Dean, you and I are going to have to share here.
Well, and I will. I'll share because what happened was I got triggered in listening back to. I was time stamping some old podcasts for some old politicians, and I was triggered by it because I thought, look at us being a bunch of cutesy guys dancing around. Go, oh, this guy's on, and he's an MP, and oh, look at him, tell us more, and then we don't challenge him because we want him to come back, and that's what happens, right? Like it's this fucking brick wall where you go. Do I want to interview a politician? And we've just been through this thing where we just watch politicians lie their little dicks off just to see if they can get more control over us. And to me, that was like a sign from God, almost like I had goosebumps when I decided I'm not having these guys on anymore because we really don't need them. Like I've never really been entertained through a legitimate political podcast, with the exception of when Max Bernier was on and he made fun of himself and looked like a tool. Randy Hillier, same thing, when he smoked his way through the thing and kept going, God, I could go for a beer. I'm like, I'll do those. I'll do those. But what I'm not doing is like, let's get Michelle Rempel on or let's talk to Aaron O'Toole about how he plans on governing. Fuck
No, but wait.
that. Nikula Das, the guy that breathes through his nuts, that runs for the PPC. Absolutely. If they're a shit show, I'll interview them. But if they're not, if they think that this is fucking serious politics and they want to come on the show, then they should be able to answer questions. And they don't, never have. So that's my ban.
I get it, and I hear your frustration.
Hold on, we got a poll out there.
Hold on. Yeah. I still think
you can't
that
make the call until the poll comes back.
Yeah. The poll's going to come up with no politicians because people don't like politicians, and that's fine. But why wouldn't we have Michelle Rempel on and then ask her really tough questions? Why have you blocked half the country on Twitter? Just ask it like Tom Mulcair used to ask Stephen Harper questions in question period when the Senate scandal was happening. Just like direct. And if they meander, you meandering. Stop it. Bring him back. I've always wanted to like participate in scrums in Queen's Park or in Ottawa because they don't ask the right questions. All the reporters, there might be like 15 reporters there. 13 of them have the same question. And it's just who gets to ask it first. And that's how they do it. No one ever trips them up with a question they're not expecting. And I think maybe, again, I'll take responsibility for this because it's largely myself who ends up booking these politicians most of the time. And when I do, I'm not thinking, you're right. You're totally right. I am thinking, how are we going to get this person back on? I think I had discussions with you about Bernier or about Hillier specifically. It'd be nice to get him back on. Right. So how about we just don't do that and we become like the tough stop for the, what is it? The Breakfast Club yeah. Okay. You guys done? Yeah. You good? I can't tell what you're doing. Are you making a sundae? What are you doing?
Pants open. Take the shaft, cradle the balls, suck the political dick. I'm not doing it anymore.
But you don't have to. But that's what I mean.
Hold on, the poll's not over yet.
It's not a prerequisite. You don't have to suck.
Do you want to check? I know, but it feels like it because, like, if you don't do it, then they won't come back, and I don't want to have them on the first place.
Well, then you don't care, do you? Why don't we just give everyone a good one chance?
I'd like to defend Nate. That guy looks like someone who's packing a huge hammer. I mean, you did talk about little dick politicians. I think Nate has got a unit. Like, I bet you that boy looks amazing in a Speedo. So I think that should be said out loud before.
What just happened here? What? Why would you go straight to his hog? I don't
because
care about
you said little dick politicians, and I'm like, Nate doesn't look like a guy. He looks like a guy who's swinging a hammer.
Like this for the last 5 minutes. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot.
He's got a huge package. I'm sure of it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Got a couple votes. 26% said don't interview
votes already. Yeah, we do locker room Twitter polls. It takes us all day to get 100.
Your voter 100.
I'm not even lying.
That's a radio station with free advertising too. That's the best.
That's so funny.
We don't have any of that. We just do stuff. You know what it is, James? It's not that I'm completely opposed to it forever. Like, it's not like I'm never going to have a politician. I'm just saying, if you say, hey, we get a chance to get Andrea Horvath on the show, the answer is no. If you say, oh, we've got a chance to put on Stephen LaDuca, no, or whatever his name is.
Justin Trudeau.
No fucking way. Not a chance.
What?
No, I won't interview him. I won't interview him. You know why I can't interview him? Because I know a bunch of stuff about him, and I'll ask him about that, and then everybody will get in trouble.
Okay, let's pivot. Can we have a conversation about something that I am just dying to talk about on the podcast?
Yes.
Dean?
As long as I can make blowjob miming references.
Yeah, for sure. So I had a conversation with a relative, and they told me a distant relative of ours, blood relative, is a full-on QAnon member, someone I grew up with. And
now, when you say distance, does that mean that this individual lives a long way away from you?
Long way away. Yeah. So you're a dick. You did this, didn't you? I told you not to. Yeah. So
I haven't said anything. I'm just trying to define distant relative.
You stopped the entire show. You stopped the entire show and go, I'd like to pivot to something Dean told me not to talk about.
Swirling on this for an hour.
It's your fault, Dean.
You cannot do this to me.
Okay.
Even you will admit how entertaining this is.
It's awesome.
And we're hiding it from people.
He looks like
okay,
a
so
politician
I
right now.
do
Look at
this
him.
well.
Right.
No one tells me secrets because I cannot fucking keep them. I'm going to go tell my wife as soon as we get off. I already told the dog. I ran away halfway through the podcast just to go tell my dog. She's the only fucking thing that talks to me.
Okay, so here's the thing: I get a phone call today, and I'm talking with this relative of mine, trying to catch up, and they inform me that I have a relative who is deep balls deep into the QAnon shit, like balls deep. I'm not doing the voice, and the person's like, "Can you believe it?" And anyway, she's telling me the story, and she's going through like, no word of a lie. I go, "How bad is it?" This person's like, "Well." It's bad. And I'm like, how bad? Said
he's trying to disguise the impersonation of the person. So funny.
They've been eating horse ivermectin. And they're canning all their goods and freeze drying fruit and hoarding guns. And I'm like, what?
Their license plate says freedom.
Hoarding guns. And I'm like, no way. She's like, yeah, hoarding guns. And I'm like, why? She's like, I don't know, but they told us a couple weeks ago. This is the best. These and they're very wealthy people. Very fucking wealthy. They're like, they're buying a RV so that they can run from the law and eat horse medication. That's what they're doing. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And I like, this is someone that, you see a couple times a year. You're like, hi, how you doing? And we've never spoken about it. So like, this person's feeding me this information. And I'm like, are you sure we're talking about the same person? They're like, yes, totally talking about the same person. And I'm like, well, that's fucking hilarious. And she goes, it's actually quite sad.
And then your Lochlin gear kicked in. You're like, I'm not going to be able to keep this a secret.
And in my mind, I'm like, I can't tell the fellas. But then as soon as we got on the pre-call for this
spilled
podcast,
and then told us you can't
guys,
say anything.
Guys, you guys won't believe this. I'm related to one.
We should release all the pre-calls to the podcast.
Hold on.
But this is the most amazing thing, though. This person is like,
are you following them on Facebook?
No, this person's firmly rooted, lovely people, firmly rooted community people out in British Columbia. Lovely people, nice, helpful. But it's like this
thing comes in.
The distant relative, yeah, because it's a long way away. So, but like you would never guess that this person has been like they're freeze drying meat. They're freeze drying ice cream. They're freeze drying like vegetables. They bought a freeze dry and they're trying to fucking get the whole thing going and just kind of hoard until like, hey, just to make sure we're okay. No one takes our stuff. And we got guns and lots of guns. And this is a person that's like, would have never have shot a gun in their whole life up until 2 years ago. And it's like, okay, it's close now. I get it. And I still like this person finds it because it's familial. They're like, I find it so upsetting. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. So let's all have a laugh. And we did. Because seriously, what are we going to say to that family member? We're going to say, hey, listen, we really care. Of course we care, but I don't care enough to go insert myself into the craziness because all I'll do is laugh. Like, all I'll do is laugh. I'm sitting there listening to this person tell me exactly what this other person told them, what my family member told them, saying, this is what we're doing. This is our plan. The world's going crazy. They're pretty sure they're going to move to the States. No word of a lie, because they like the welcoming of the anti-vaxxers down there. Yeah. That's it. That's what's going on in my world. And it was funny because, like I said, totally fucking normal individuals. And then on the inside, it's pure turmoil. But did you hear all the preparation that's going into the unknown? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Freeze drying food, hoarding guns, canning pickled vegetables and like rice, like tons of rice, and building bomb shelters and stuff. It is out of this fucking world. And because I come from that born again Christian background, that's what's driving it. It's Jesus. They think the apocalypse is coming. So that's what they're prepping for. And that
is this person being influenced by their partner, you think? Or is it a mutual, totally mutual idea?
Where did this come from? You think it's just church? Or do you think it's
I know it's
girlfriend?
Church. No, I know it's church. This person is married with two kids, I think. This person's married into a way more hyper. You like that?
Yeah.
Thanks, boys.
That was
not selling me out.
Very well delivered.
Yeah.
Thanks for not selling me out. This person's got, I think, one child.
Okay, hold on. James laughed first. I'm trying to hold it together here.
But they literally, they think that they go to church like religiously, pulled all their kids out of school because they won't get them vaccinated, so they're hurting their kids. It's the most messed up shit I've ever. Yeah.
Was that intentional? They go to church religiously?
That's like,
was that intentional?
But won't go to school. Yeah. Won't go to church full of unvaccinated people. Won't go to school full of vaccinated people because they don't want the kids to feel wronged in some way. That's and can you imagine that, like, in the heaviness of that? You know how much work goes into that? You know how much work? You know what I did today? This is what I did.
Are the kids young?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got
How
up.
do you recover from that?
I don't know. Not my job. Not my problem either. So I don't think about it, even though it's family. Here's what I did this morning. I got up, went to the coffee shop, got myself a scone, read the paper, mask on. Off, actually, inside, double vaccinated, didn't care. And then I went to my dentist appointment.
When's the last time you guys read a paper? It was 1997 for me.
On my phone.
Okay, all right.
Then I go to my dentist appointment, walk in. Hey, guys, how you doing? Double vax. Nice to see you. Sat down, had a dentist appointment. Everything's great. Got to go back for a little root canal tomorrow. No big deal. Then tonight I'm going out, having dinner with friends. No problem. Have a couple laughs and stuff like that. While that person is bagging up rice.
They double as sandbags.
Shooting at cans behind the RV.
Preparing for the end times. I'll be having spaghetti this evening.
Here's the thing. Like, as crazy as it sounds, you have a family member.
That's right.
And you're not unlike any other family in this country right now. Everybody has friends or family members. We keep talking about the guy that is moving to the encampment just outside of Edmonton with a bunch of like-minded individuals to wait out the death of everybody who has gotten vaccinated. And he's not kidding. No. Like that's a serious. And we're laughing, but that guy's somebody's kid. He's not talking to his parents because they got vaccinated and his dog died. And he thinks the spike proteins that they shed from the vaccine killed his 42-year-old dog. Right? Like the dog didn't die of natural causes. It died because his mom got vaccinated. And
he was 42. The dog did pretty good. No?
By the way, I keep adding 10 years to the dog's age every time I tell the story.
Last week that dog was 27, yeah. But the dog was like over 15 and sick and died because it's over fucking 15 and sick and it died. Yeah, but there's literally, like, this stuff comes from such a hyper place. Like, I had this exchange with this dude today. He called me a capo. I don't know why. Like a mafia capo. His name's Tears of Rage. All these guys, no one ever puts their fucking name either. Says a capo shill for indemnified big pharma, the most ruthless, blood-soaked ruling class in history, while telling us organized religion's a Ponzi scheme. These creeps puke up oceans of contradictory bullshit and incoherence and expect us to nod and obey. I'm like, guys, I'm a capo. Should be capo because he misspelled it. For big pharma, recording this mentally ill guy with a Twitter account. Then he replies, what is it about informed consent and bodily autonomy that triggers you in an uncontrollable desire to injure and kill millions? Now I'm killing millions. He called me a capo. I'm like, this guy's fucked. He's like, you're killing millions of people. That's how fast this escalates. I'm now a murderer. Deny healthcare, torture, and a generation of kids, etc. And the scum you're trying to please despise you. I just type back, ha, 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 good one. Because, like, there's literally nothing you could say to those people to fight that kind of craziness.
Lochlin's made this point like 6 times, I think. And it's a great point. They're not going to kill the sheeple. And we're the sheeple, right? Yeah. All things considered, we're the ones that got the vaccine. There's no way, to Lochlin's point, that they would ever keep the Chris Sky anti-vaxxers as the enslaved people.
That's not
Right?
the savior of mankind.
No.
Chris isn't? Thought he was. No? Guy with a giant dick tattooed on his neck is not the second coming of Jesus?
Yeah.
Dick on a dick. It's just redundancy.
The thing, though, is we have we have so many of these interactions based on what we do for a living. Like this podcast, I'm on the air, and I keep telling myself, don't engage, just let it go, just shake it off. And I keep engaging. I keep breaking my rule almost daily. I did it again this morning. And I mean, I got a bitch shoot video from somebody that's talking about the vaccine killing everybody. Why do I need to respond to that guy? You're not. I mean, Dean, if you actually ended, let's say you didn't find this funny and it was concerning to you, and you thought, okay, I could have an impact on this individual's because I'm blood. Maybe I phone this person up and I go, hey, distant relative that lives a long way away from me, have you thought this through?
I don't care enough. I don't care enough about that relative. Pretty close relative too. But like, when you guys think I'm joking, or general public thinks I'm joking.
Relative.
Very. You guys think I'm joking, but I really, truly mean it. If I cannot control it, I am not giving it my time.
That's a good point.
Why?
We can't control
Why would you withdraw energy from yourself and put it into something like that? Like, do I love this person? Of course. They're family. They're blood. Will I still talk to them? Absolutely. Will I talk to them about this if they ask me? Absolutely not. And my standard response to them, as it always has been, and my response to everybody else who seems to think the end times are coming and we need to get some canned goods and head for the fucking hills, my standard response to all those people is like, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Because tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the gym, fully vaccinated. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to come home. It'll be about 8. I'll do a little work. I got some shopping. I'm going for a walk with a friend of mine, lady friend, and we're going to have a nice time. That's because I got the jab and I understand science, and I don't believe Sky Daddy has the answers. I don't. So far, so good. Like, I mean, 80% of the world can't be fucking wrong, right? And so whatever. I mean, like, what am I going to say to this person? Because I love them, I'm not going to get in their way. I'm going to let them do what they do. I'm going to let them make their life as hard as fucking possible, because that is the only way everybody learns anyway. I'm not interceding on their behalf, right? I think that's the worst fucking thing that we could do for some people. I really do. I think the worst fucking thing we could do for some of these people is to call them and say, we care about you. Oops. Took the wrong guy up. I would think the worst possible thing to do is to call them and go, hey, listen, I care about you. I really want you to get vaccinated because I want you to live. Because, of course, that's the case. It should go without saying if it's family, but I've got no part in that process. I don't take part of their day. I'm not, what I think about their struggles or their worries has nothing to do. They're earning their own stress. I don't want to take any of that on. That's all theirs. And if we all looked at it like that, how much fucking happier people would be? Because you have a responsibility, I have a responsibility to my own happiness. And to allow that to get in the way of the things that I can and can't control is ridiculous. It's a zero-sum effort. None. Like, I mean, you literally get nothing out of calling someone to say, I really wish you would get vaccinated. What you get more out of is saying, hey, man, how's it going? Good. How's your day? Great. And when they want to bring it up, say, guess what? I don't talk about that stuff because there's no point. Let's talk about other things. And that's what I do. And you know what? They get frustrated. They get pissed off. And they go, I don't want to talk because this is all, I'm consumed by it. Like, these are people that cannot get off their fucking phones. They can't. They're chained to it.
I can't remember the last time I engaged with an anti-vaxxer online. I don't even know if I have, to be honest with you.
I do it, but it's only for fun. Like that whole thing I just showed you guys with this cat. This is fun for me. This is just a good time. Like I
think I said
like
yikes to that guy. That's about as far as it goes.
Yikes. But yeah,
so
that's the truth.
I'm letting a little bit of my own insecurities about of how I handle like conflict, and And I mean, I cut people out of my life all the time. Friends, family. If somebody
like just for fun.
No. It's never fun. And some might suggest that the reasons can equate to a form of pettiness on my behalf. So I do have this, I think, this underlying guilt about situations like this where maybe they need an intervention, right? Like I guess I'm struggling a little bit with it because I do what you do, Dean, and I've questioned that over the years, and I've had people in my life that have questioned that. And I raised kids. I have one that's like me, holy fuck, like a T. You piss her off, she's fucked. You're done. Like she'll nix you out of her life completely. And
I have the opposite problem.
At first, I had this tremendous amount of pride for that. Like I'm like, she's like me. She's like the old fucking man. You piss her off, that's fucking it. You're done. Doesn't matter if she's your mother, she'll cut you out of your life, right? But I have guilt about that now as I'm getting a little bit older.
That's just your tolerance of alcohol going up.
But hold it. For me, it's not about cutting people out. Like that's the difference. For me, it's about you're you, I'm me. I get it. You don't. We'll talk about other stuff. And it's not like, do I respect family members who don't believe in science? No, but I love them, right? Like, and that's really all that matters. Like, and that matters to my family. It matters to my extended family. And it's not, I don't cut them off or cut them out or never talk to them again. I just never talk to them about those things again. And when they ask why the nature of our relationship changes, I'll tell them, well, here's why. Here's why is because you believe this, and I find it to be stressful to be around, and I choose not to, because that's the truth. Like we engage with people on a daily basis, and we it's like we soak up their bullshit, right? All this stuff on the internet, everybody's like soaking it up. You check it out in the morning to see who acted like a tit last night, and you're on your phone, your Twitter. What can I get on Twitter at about 9:00, so I've been up for like 2-3 hours already. I won't look at Twitter until then. And when I finally get on Twitter, I look at it like, what can I use? I don't look at it like, because I'm fully fucking comfortable with where I am. I am a believer in science, a believer in the greater good, and all of my efforts go that way, and that's it. And you just try to be honest when you can. Those people don't have that. They're like, I am fully convinced that I'm right, and I have to keep fighting to convince other people that I am. I'm done fighting. You know how much energy it takes to fight, especially when you know you're wrong? Like, it's fucking everybody on this panel. We're all married or have been married, and you're fighting with your wife even though you know you're wrong, and you're like, I'm pot committed. I can't give up. I need to keep this.
I'm not wrong.
I would like to go on record and say I've never done that.
I'd like to go on record and say that she's always wrong. Jesus.
Okay, I've had a couple of cracks in the armor about the whole what's true and isn't anymore. And the funny thing about that is it actually, one of them came this weekend when I was watching the news coverage of the two Michaels, and I'm like, this is fucking insane. This is a country that was pissed off that someone they call their own was put in jail. Whether or not she was right or wrong doesn't matter. We took her into custody. We followed all the rules of the law, international law. We kept her in Canada, did everything we were supposed to do, and they went and randomly grabbed two fucking citizens with Canadian passports wandering around their country and put them in fucking jail. And they're convinced that that's okay. Then when they come to a deal, they just let the two Canadians go. And everybody in China, whether how much they know about it or not, everybody in China has this belief structure about whether or not that was the right thing to do. And it's somehow justified. They've somehow justified that they just held for almost 3 years, two citizens that probably did nothing because of someone else's mistake from their own country. And I'm like, that's fucked. How does that whole country believe that that is an okay thing to do? Like, they gave her a hero's welcome when she came home. And I realized that they lie to their population, but there's a certain amount of buy-in over there that's okay.
There's a
and
lot
you're
of buy-in.
talking, yeah, and you're talking about, like, here's 80% of the population believing one thing and 20% believing the other. I'm telling you, that was a chink in the armor for me this weekend.
Jesus Christ, that was an unfortunate turn of phrase, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that at all.
I didn't mean like that.
I
So
know
it's
he
fine.
didn't. I know he didn't.
Yeah.
But you know,
doesn't it get you?
You're talking about the two. You're talking about the two Michaels. Michael,
yeah,
the two Michaels that were held because of that lady from Hawaii, who was charged by the United States, Ming Wang, whatever her name is, held in Vancouver for 3 years.
It was Wang. I think it was something else.
Know.
I would like to disassociate myself from the two racists on the panel, please.
Not racist. I just didn't pay attention to her exact pronunciation of her name.
I don't
Ming Wang,
think you're racist.
I think Weng. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. She's a Hawaii executive that was doing some shitty stuff. The U.S. is like, fucking arrest her. Canada did it. And as soon as Canada arrested her on behalf of the U.S., they grabbed two guys named Michael that were just walking around doing business in China, which is, by the way, their first mistake. But they're walking around doing business in China, held them for 3 fucking years, and they're like, no big deal. As soon as they get their girl back, they give us our guy. Like, where on earth is that stuff cool? That's a great question. I don't think anywhere on earth it's cool other than China. And you know, the excuse the Chinese government, sorry, Meng Wanzhou, that was her name. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. I fucked it up. But the way that it was explained to the Chinese people is they said the two Michaels were released for medical reasons. So that's what they told the Chinese people, the Chinese Communist government.
Wow, they got an ailment at the exact same time. It's amazing. Right? I didn't know they were bunkmates, you know?
I don't know.
A lot of countries have been doing that for a long time, though. The United States are doing it right now to Julian Assange, right? And he's been in prison for how long? And they just will refuse to let the UK let him out. And they refuse to say whether or not they'll bring him back to the United States and prosecute him and, you know, stick him in a hole for life. But you're right, though. Blatant, like the fact that they let them go so quickly just steps on everything they ever said. It just steps on everything they ever said about them. What were they, drug mules or something? Like
they were both charged with espionage. So, and one was convicted. He went through the court system, be it what it is, of and was charged to 11 years. 11 years in prison in China.
Yeah, he got a 10-year sentence for espionage. Yeah,
Meng Wanzhou is off to the spa every Wednesday and going shopping on the weekends with the security detachment.
It's like the Hunger Games.
Like,
that's what it all these, like, the politicians and the countries that have that sort of like entitlement where they don't even try to hide it anymore. That is rampant now. That is it's odd. Like, I think 20 years ago, China would have kept the two Michaels for another month until the story died down, and then quietly slipped them back in the middle of the night, and then said, you know, upon further review, the evidence seems to blah, 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 whatever they want to say. But they did it immediately, and it just seemed like a farce as soon as they did it. Like, okay, we all kind of knew that it was a farce anyways, but you just confirmed it for us that the entire thing was a charade, you know? So
yeah,
and they don't fucking care. They care absolutely nothing about what the rest of the world thinks about that release and about what it says about them releasing them so quickly on the heels of a deal being. And not only that, if this was such a big deal, why do we just send her home? She broke UN sanctions. She's being charged. Huawei and that executive was being charged with espionage. Like, it's just being swept
they couldn't
underneath
have sent
the
her
rug.
home because the
Quick,
extradition
the Olympics are
agreement
coming. We can't have any bad
agreement
press.
with the United States would prevent them from sending her back to China when she was arrested. All of this is about the relationship, the diplomatic relationship on paper between the United States and Canada. So Trump decided to exercise that and asked that she get arrested, and so they did. And the extradition agreement that they have with the United States would have prevented them from sending her back to China until the court case was worked out in the United States. So.
But the Chinese were fighting to keep her in Canada too. That was the other thing.
They thought
did not want her.
Trump was going to make her a political object
Refuge
where
area.
we're going to use.
Yeah, because there was this report. There was a report, like I think it was like 2-3 months ago, where someone was like, Trump was trying to ransom that woman back to the Chinese people.
Yeah.
Like
he was trying
to use her as ransom so
did.
he could get money for. Yeah, exactly.
He was trying to get like building permits for companies in China or something. Like that was.
But I think we're balls deep in this country with Chinese affiliation. Like there's a dude that ran this casino.
The thing is,
no,
we keep
not this
talking
kind of
about
fine. Like
not believing all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
And staying, and being smart enough to do your own research, and then that shit's happening right underneath of our noses and right underneath the noses of an entire population. And everyone is picking sides about whether or not, okay, I'm on this camp or I'm on that camp. No, I don't believe ivermectin. And then this shit is like, it's, I'm not saying
this China one though, it actually a little bit like, it is kind of crazy how, we've been able to sort of maintain this sort of relationship with China. I think, Dean, you're about to pivot into something like a willful blindness situation, like the money laundering. It's such a weird relationship. Like they're getting away with right now, China's, of having 1 million Muslim Chinese people in camps. Like this exists, right? Like, and we're negotiating and we're trying to be like, the good, the good sort of neutral nation that's always trying to placate everybody on every side. And I don't know where this one goes, because China's like, they were like the sleeping giant when I was in high school. That's how all my history teachers described China. And now that they are like a legit power in the world, it seems that, they just want to, they're on their empire game right now, I think.
Yeah, like there's this casino that like an illegal casino bust here in Markham, which is like 70% Asian where I live. The whole town, like 1 million people, 70% of this is from China or Chinese. Anyway, they busted this casino here in Markham, and there was this guy named Wei Wei.
You sure?
Who was the ring? Yeah, 100%. And he got busted.
Not Wei Wing.
Yeah, the founder of Huawei.
And he got busted, and all of a sudden, these pictures of him standing with Justin Trudeau at fundraisers started appearing. And within weeks, they dropped the whole thing. York Regional Police just dropped the whole thing. No explanation, nothing.
Our relationship with China has cost us. It's cost us too. Like remember the Five Eyes, right? That's that's like the United States, Canada, I think it's New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. I think it's something like that. And we all shared intelligence information. That's why they call us the Five Eyes. Because of our because we're letting Huawei into Canada. I hope I'm saying that right, because it took me years.
Huawei, yeah, you're saying it right.
Yeah, because they're letting them into Canada and we're using their equipment for this whole 5G thing, we were shut out of the new sort of I don't know what they're doing, espionage contract or whatever, between like an agreement between these 3 nations now, and I think it's just Australia, United States, and
France.
Maybe it's UK or something. Is it France? But we're shut out of that because we're not.
France
we're no
got shut
really
out of it too.
Partner.
It's Australia, UK, and yes, okay, yeah, you're right.
And so
we got relationship with
them, our relationship with them is costing us our relationships with our allies, and it's because
massive contracts too. From what you're like, that's why Marcon is so upset, because it's money. It's a great deal of cash too. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was pretty much done anyways. But yeah, it's I don't know what the next, like, honestly, the Trudeau is not the Trudeau administration is not known for their diplomacy chops, I would say. They come at it often from a position of weakness. They're not, there's a lot of placating and trying to like use deal. Well, I can't think of the couple of examples off the top of my head, but where China would be involved in some other situation and they would just placate and give them everything they wanted to try to secure the Michael's release, and then it would just never happen.
But we do. I think it's worth saying out loud that we should get some credit for following the rule of the law, right? Because
Trump put us in a bad position.
Trump put us in a bad position, but I think what Canada did and how we stood up to them legally, saying, no, we're following the rule of the law. needs to be, and I don't think that needs to be.
You're talking about Meng Wanzhou?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that Trudeau played a part in this. I think that the people behind him and part of this process did a lot of things well and right and deserve credit for.
It would be nice to have
thing.
Joe Biden on the show so we could ask them, but apparently there's a rule that we can't interview any politicians.
Hey, listen,
I'll make an exception for Joe.
We got a poll out there.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
It might come. No, doesn't look like it so far.
Yeah, let's consult the poll and then we'll get out of here.
Every serious news outlet uses Twitter polls to make content decisions, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, fuck them. Serious
158 people have spoken.
No, dude. It's more than that. It's like 228.
Yeah, but they're all
228 people. No, they're not. No, they're not. They think like me. They're like, yeah, Dean.
Yeah, but they're all
on there anymore. Should we interview politicians ever again? 228 votes in 38 minutes. 21.9% say yes. 78.1% say fuck no. So, guess we're not.
Still lots of
polls
about everybody.
Or
we'll review the poll tomorrow on the show.
What was that?
I just said we'll review the poll tomorrow on the show. Yeah, very scientific.
James D. Fiore, blackballmedia.ca is where you can find him. Blackball the podcast at James D. Fiore on Twitter. He's my very good friend, and he's an excellent writer, so make sure you read his stuff. That is Lochlin Cross. He is the best morning guy in the country, and you can listen to him on 95.7 Cruise FM, host of the Lochlin Room.
Buy a fucking t-shirt. Jesus Christ.
Your t-shirts?
Yes, come on. Chris Sky is selling t-shirts like crazy, and we made like $200 drinking money.
You know what we should do? We should come up. I got an idea. We'll talk about it after. We're going to do Chris Sky t-shirts.
That's
instead
not a bad
of just
idea.
say no. Instead of just say no, just say yes with a hashtag.
I'm trying to see if my new just let me check here if the new Manny hasn't got my new hat idea up yet.
Where's my Gitch?
We're getting best summer ever hats done.
Alberta 2021, best summer ever.
But I changed it so we don't get sued with a question mark. Best summer ever.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe we'll fucking sell some of those,
dude. Bring your shit over here. We'll sell them at DeanBlundell.com. You just like in 10 minutes.
Do I still get the 1,000 votes for the money?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Because I'm we literally use the money to pay for our booze at football games. And we're already out. It's like we're 3 home games in and we fucking drank the whole year's profit. I was hoping to get through the whole year with our profits, but
yeah, you won't. No, we're going to talk as soon as we get off here, and we're going to
more about our drinking problem.
Probably a little bit. That is Lochlin Cross on 95.7 Cruise FM, and thanks guys at Lochlin Cross on Twitter.
Sorry
Appreciate
for the racism today. It was unintentional.
No, you weren't racist.
Okay, all right. James said I was.
James just says shit, right? Like, and then after he says it, you look at him and he's like, "I say something. I say something stupid again."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Probably." Like,
yeah. It was an unintentional racist moment from me, though. Or I didn't even.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you soon. There's Lochlin Cross, everybody. Yeah, that's it for us. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can get us at YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, or you can go to Twitch TV, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. Super easy to do. And that's where you can watch us live every single day, 3 o'clock-ish, everybody. Want to appreciate and thank everybody for being here. Sign up for newsletter, DeanBlundell.com. Subscribe at YouTube, or you can go and download our podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify. I had a nice meeting with the people at Spotify today in the States. Spotify America. Wonderful people over there. Might be doing some stuff with them. We'll see. But we appreciate you being here nonetheless. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for being part of what we do. Don't forget to say hi to our sponsors, including Ed's Fine Imports. He sells Gitch, luxury branded men's underwear, and Canadian-made, Canadian-engineered, Canadian-operated. Get Ed's Gitch, Gitch, number 3. Gitch, and the promo code 3 is your promo code. It'll send you a free pair when you order 3 today. Luxury underwear, boxer briefs, edsfineimports.com. Gitch, and Gitch3 is your promo code. Thanks, Ed. Thanks to our friends over Domination, DMNTN.com. It's AI for people that produce content. All you do is you feed your file, and whatever you did into this artificial intelligence, and like 5 minutes later, it spits out 72 or 73 pieces of content that you can use all over the web. Absolutely applicable to every platform. Use them today. You need it, especially if you're like a one-man operation. We're not, but we still use them because it's efficient, it's terrific, and it's professional. Go to DMNTN. Try them for free. DMNTN.com. Try them for free today. Blue Microphones, our official sponsor and partner, equipment sponsor and partner. We are part of the Blue Crew and happy to be so. These are MoFi headphones. You can use those as well. Go to bluemic.com and check them out today. Also, these Blue Yeti X USB mics that you just hook into your computer. You don't need a preamp, nothing. They've got everything for every application, gaming, streaming, podcasting, and more. Go to Blue Microphones. Check them out today at bluemic.com or Blue Microphones on Twitter. And don't forget, Easy Auto Financial, wonderful people, want to get you in a car, subprime financing, doesn't cost you a dime, no obligation. And if you're just looking for someone to take care of all the details from financing to delivery of your car, that's Easy Auto Financial. Check them out today. Sign up. Go and talk to my friends if you're looking for a vehicle at easyautofinancial.ca. They'll do everything for you. Thanks, everybody. Join us at deanblundell.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Bye.
T-minus 1 minute.